and Smoke&Bones did the incubator program in 2018, and we've got them with us today talking about their incubator journey, everything from making brisket and beans to like what the next step of their journey is and what they're up to right now. So hi Miriam.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's okay. Hope you're doing all right.
I'm not gonna ask you too many questions because you're going to talk about your incubator journey now, but I'll definitely ask you some questions afterwards. Yeah, how are you at the moment? How are you feeling?
Yeah, quite bored, but yeah, not too bad. It's been kind of good because obviously we've stopped trading, but we've had so much support from people, and that really kind of helps us to get through this quite difficult time.
Yeah, it's the community of people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you to go through your incubator journey,
Okay.
and then once you're done, just let me know, and we'll go through some questions that people have sent us. So go for it.
Okay, so as Jack said, I'm Miriam from Smoke&Bones, and I'm going to go through our incubator journey. So the first thing that I wanted to sort of go through is how it started. So my husband, as you can see in the picture, that's me and my husband, and we started Smoke&Bones. At the time, it was called London Smokehouse. I used to work in the pharmaceutical industry, and he's a web developer. And I was kind of bored of my job. I was also like traveling up north all the time and leaving my family behind, and I wasn't really enjoying it. And the other thing was that we loved cooking, we loved food, and every year we used to have this annual barbecue where we'd invite all our friends over, and that's where we made our first brisket. And in the picture there, you can see our first ever brisket that we made.
Yeah, I love. That's such an amazing photo. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't look as great as the brisket that we make now, but I mean, it was the first one, and everyone enjoyed it. And so we thought, we wanted to start a business. We enjoy food, and there was no other place doing American barbecue that serves halal meat, because we eat halal meat. So we wanted to kind of include everybody in enjoying the food. So yeah, that was really how it started and what made us want to start. So after a few months of trialing out brisket, having people over like nearly every weekend to try it out, we managed to get this gig at the Strong Groom Bar in Shoreditch, and it was in December.
Wow.
And it was really cold, and we didn't have a van. We just bought like our gazebos from Tesco. You could tell that it's like a cheap gazebo. We had like this floppy banner, this cheap folding table that like broke your back when you had to slice the brisket because you had to bend so low. And we kind of didn't really sell that much. And we were working crazy hours because we'd get there for 11, and there was hardly anyone there for lunch. The only time we had business was in the evenings when people would come to the bar for a drink, and we were so determined to sell everything that we had because we had nowhere to store any leftover food, and we worked so hard to smoke it for 12 hours. We didn't want to throw it in the bin, so we used to stay there till about 2-3 in the morning until we sold everything, and then come back home, prepare more brisket. So we hardly slept basically, and it was really difficult. It was I think it was one of the hardest experiences I've had in street food. But the feedback that we got from people was great, and everybody enjoyed the food. And eventually, as time went on, we had people coming back and bringing their friends with them just to try our food. So that was the good thing that came out of it.
Yeah. Even if it's not making that much money, you're starting to figure out like who's interested in your food, like what is it that people are enjoying about it, like what are they going to talk about it with other people.
Yeah, exactly. So we had really good feedback. We didn't have like one complaint. And we actually had this one guy who came back and bought everything that we had. So I had this pie heating thing, which you can kind of see in this picture, and that's where I put the brisket to keep it warm and hot hold it. And we had this guy that just came back and he bought the whole everything that was in there, and he just said, "Give it all to me." And then he messaged us on Instagram on the way home, and it was like 2 a.m, and he said, "I finished all that food," and it was a lot of food. He must have enjoyed it. So yeah, so that's how London Smokehouse was born. So after doing the strong room, we thought, we didn't really know much about lunch markets. We didn't know how to get into lunch markets. So we thought we'll go, and because we were still working full time as well at the time with our day jobs, we thought, let's just do a few festivals which are going to be on the weekend, and we'll see how that goes and the response that we get there. So we managed to get a gig at Olympia for a shopping festival, and this is me and my friends, because couldn't afford to pay anyone, so we had to get our friends to help us out. Even like the artwork, one of our friends drew it for us on the blackboard.
Yeah.
And that was a really good experience, because it was the first time we ever catered in bulk for people, and we had to do over, I think we ended up doing about 300-400 portions. And for someone who hasn't ever done catering in their life, to serve that many people, it was a challenge. But we had a good system, and we were fast and everything, but we learned a lot of things on the kind of how we made the food. And we over ordered on buns, for example. We ordered 1,000 buns from a bakery, and then after the event we had no use for the buns, so we ended up throwing 500-600 buns in the bin because they all went bad. So yeah, we learned quite a bit, but also we kind of here, I think we learned that we need to get more people involved and working with us, because we couldn't just do it on our own.
Yeah.
And it was at this event that actually I injured myself quite badly loading the van. And we realized that, we need to get more people on. Awais and I, so my husband and I, we couldn't just do it on our own. And it basically took him 4 hours to load the van that night, because I sprained my ankle. And we was it was quite difficult. But we learned a lot. So after that, we did an outdoor festival at Westfield, and basically we gained such a great following from the shopping festival that people were waiting for us to show up, where we were going to show up next. And we sold out at 4 o'clock, and we were really unprepared for that, because we didn't want to make the same mistake as we did at Olympia and over order or over make food.
It's that constant push and pull, isn't it? You just never know.
So we then ran out of food there, and we had a lot of disappointed customers, because people had travelled quite far to come and try the food, and then they found out that we sold out at 4 o'clock and the event was meant to end at 10. So you can imagine. But obviously we then learnt from that. And then we did a halal food festival. And at this point, we said we can't use our small smokers in the barbecue. We have to invest in an industrial type smoker.
Wow.
So we found an industrial type smoker, and we started, really churning out them briskets. And for the halal food fest, what we did was we thought we need to prepare in advance if we have an emergency, like at the Westfield Festival, where we need more stock. We need to have that ready. So we'd converted our dining room into sort of a prep area. We got rid of our dining table. We had this massive chest freezer there. And we thought if we'd cook briskets in advance and then froze them, then we could, reheat them on the day, and it worked out well. But I made a silly mistake of thinking I could defrost 30 briskets. That's about 400 kilos of briskets in an igloo cooler overnight. And with all of them all together, it just didn't work. So we had a bit of a disaster there, but we made it work in the end.
It's the only way you learn, right? Especially if you don't have that food catering background, which a lot of people who go into street food and any type of food business like do. Like you have to do these experiences and be like, oh, that's how you defrost meat, oh, that's how you load a van like in this time, and those kind of things, like just by taking opportunities.
And it's because it's in such bulk. It's so different from just cooking one brisket or two briskets, which is what we were doing at Strong Room, for example. We were just taking about 2-3 briskets a day.
Yeah.
So after the Halal Food Festival, we thought, okay, this could work as a business. And then that's when I think I attended the Curb workshop after that, because I decided this is actually what we want to do. And we then did Notting Hill Carnival, which was a complete disaster. We just managed to break even, but it was raining all weekend, and we didn't sleep for like 2-3 days because we had to have a double setup, and at that point we didn't have a double setup. So we're running around London trying to find another gazebo at like 11 o'clock at night, and then loading the van, unloading it, and it was just a complete nightmare. So, and then after having that rainy weekend, we actually thought, we're going to pack it in and we're not going to do this anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That weekend, I think, kind of broke us a bit because, I mean, it was so difficult. I can't even explain. Like, it was just loading the van, unloading the van. Everything was in the house, and then driving from East London all the way to West London multiple times, and and there's a lot of security with Notting Hill Carnival, so it's not very easy to do. So you have to be there at certain times. So it was very difficult. And we thought, we're not going to continue with this. And it was on that weekend, on the I think it was on the Monday, I heard back from Curb. And that was after a couple of months of nagging Ollie. And literally I called him so many times. I think I woke him up a couple of times. Because I just let me call him really early. Just so that he has no excuse to tell me he's busy, and trying to tasting, which brings me on to the next slide. So, So what happens is I came to this tasting and I had a brisket with me, and I just had I had it in a hot box, and I think everyone in the Curb office thought, what is this person going to show me that's so amazing that I haven't tried before from this one little box? Because literally that's all I had, a little box. And I pulled out this brisket, and as soon as I sliced it and it was just juicing out, everyone in the Curb office just went nuts, and they were like, nice. So tasty. And so we thought, I thought, okay, we have a chance, because bear in mind, we haven't had brisket from anywhere else. Even till this day, we've only tried our own brisket, because obviously we can't find a good halal version of it. So it was great to hear back from people who obviously have tried loads of brisket before, and tell us that, this is the real deal. So we joined Incubator. I'm just going to quickly go through like what happened in the first few weeks and months of Incubator. Basically, my first day, we got to West India Quay. We started off really strong. We had like everything set up. As you can see here, this is our first setup. This is what it looked like. And basically, I drove the van out to put it into the car park, and the bollard at West India Quay went into the van. And basically, the bumper was like dragging on the floor, and it was just so horrid. And I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? And that was like £1,200 that we had to pay out of our pocket to Enterprise because of the damage done to the van. So that was the first day, and I'll never forget that, because it started off well, and then it was just like, oh gosh, what has just happened? And then on the weekend, Curb introduced Hornsey Town Hall on the weekends, and Awais, my husband, misread the email, and he told me I didn't need a gazebo, and I turned up without a gazebo, and I thought, oh my God, I'm definitely not going to pass Incubator, because they obviously must think I'm a joke or something, because I haven't, brought my gazebo. But luckily there was a spare gazebo there, so I was saved yet again. And then obviously for, the one thing that I had difficulty with during incubator was staff, and I think everybody has this issue.
Yeah.
And the issue was basically when I started this business, I was only 24, and everybody that I had hired was always older than me, and thought, I don't know. I think this is just what I felt from how staff treated me, was that this person's young, they've started this business, it's probably not serious. And I had staff who would change my recipes just because they thought I didn't know what I was doing, because I was so young.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot from that, and how to manage people and how to choose the right staff. And we also had somebody who was stealing from us as well, which was an experience because I was quite. I think it was also because I was quite young. I was a bit naive.
Well, I've got two questions for you, just from that. So we have a question from Bad Boy Pizza Society saying, during that like stage of the side hustle stage, so maybe like before incubator, but also during it, like did you get to a point where you felt confident with the business financially, or was there a point where you were just like, I need to take the risk now? Like even if it's financially not making sense right now, I just need to give it my all and do it.
I think the great thing I think the only time that we were actually sort of at a loss was when we were doing a strong room gig, and that was for a month. And then after that, the big sort of festivals that we did luckily break even, or just about break even. So it, in the first year of business, I didn't really expect to make money. It was more about getting the feedback from people to see if I can build that following, and if there is actually a place in the market for me. So I think, does that answer the question?
I think so. And also they're asking, were there people like reaching out to you, or were you finding those opportunities yourself?
So unfortunately, I had to literally, you have to, because you don't have a name out there, you have to literally call up. So what I would do was after work, so I used to work as a medical rep, so I had some time before appointments with doctors to make a few phone calls, and I'll try and make a few phone calls each day to lots of different people, lots of different organisers. But because we didn't have a name, we didn't have a reputation yet, it was very difficult securing events and stuff like that. Whereas now we find that people approach us, which makes that a bit easier.
Okay, cool. Okay, so so obviously you did incubator, and the result was
so the result was we passed incubator. And then I'm just going to quickly go through here some of the benefits of incubator, and why people should actually try and do incubator. And if you have a product that you believe in and that it's really tasty and you love it, then go for it, because people will see that love and passion when you serve up that food. And if you pass that love and passion on to your staff as well, they'll also pass that on, and it's a great kind of feeling. So the benefits of doing incubators was that it proved to us that it was a feasible business that could work, that people do enjoy the food. But I think the most important point was we had a lot of support from Curb. So be it from like the small details, like what type of packaging we used, how we present our food. Before, we kind of just sort of chucked it in a box and didn't really think about, what it looked like. It was more about the taste. Whereas now it's it's about the look. It's also about the taste. The taste always does come first for us, but you have to have the look too, so that it's memorable for people. And we found what works and what doesn't work on a lunch market. For example, the dishes that we cook are quite meat heavy, and we found that it doesn't work on a market earlier on in the week, where people would prefer to have, say, a salad bowl or a rice bowl, and we're more of a cheat meal option, and people would enjoy us more on a Thursday or a Friday. So yeah, that's what we found out
Cool.
doing incubator. Yeah. So this was our incubator batch.
It's a great photo. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody on here, like in the batch, they were amazing people, and we all became friends. And it was sort of like going to school a bit, because we used to always cheer each other up and support each other when we had bad days, like in the rain and stuff like that. So yeah. So we passed the incubator, and we decided that we need to rebrand. We just thought the black and white branding just wasn't working for us. And so we also changed our menu, and we made it a menu that was a bit easier for us to do. So we started taking a few shortcuts with the sides. So we used to serve sausage, mac and cheese, and potato salad. But the disadvantages of those was that once the mac and cheese finished, it would take another half an hour to make another tray or another batch. So we couldn't push out the portions as fast as we wanted to. So we invested in a fryer, and we started doing chips. And I didn't want to do chips, because the first side that we did was like cornbread, and it was like, we had it homemade, and it was just so good. But it just didn't work for the British public, having the Texan, authentic Texan barbecue. So we kind of changed it up.
Yeah.
For the London and British palate. And we also decided we need a better gazebo, and we need the dream team. And we thought we need to invest in some good people to help us run this business. Otherwise, do everything on your own. It was just a bit too much. So, pardon?
No, go for it. Keep you just glitched a bit, but it's all good.
So just a bit about the rebrand. So this was London Smokehouse before. This was when we were in incubator, and this is our branding now. We've added colour to it. So a lot of people, when they start off, they do go for the black and white branding. I wouldn't recommend it, because in a market there's everybody's like, it's full of color and full of like, movement and action and lots of things going on, and you need to have that color so that you can pop and you can stand out. And even if people won't remember your name, they might just remember the color scheme of red and yellow in our case, and then they'll tell their mate at the office, oh, it's that red and yellow. So it does help a lot. And it made, we looked much more professional, and we knew what we were doing at this point. So it wasn't, just to get whatever table, get whatever gazebo, and, sell some brisket.
Yeah, so, it's very eye-catching. Yeah.
So here I've just put some. I just wanted to emphasize the importance of people for us, and our staff working for us. We managed to find some great staff, and like loads of people always ask, where did you find these people? And it literally, like, it was just luck. And obviously they enjoyed working for us, so they did want to stay. So Shivani up here has been working for us for 1.5 years, and Khalid down here has been working for us for about 1 year now. And they are both managers, so they have their own teams, and they can do private events on their own, and they can prepare the brisket. So I've taught them the process from A to B, and they really enjoy it. And we're a family. We don't have a relationship where it's like, I'm your boss, you do as you're told. I listen to their opinion, and they listen to what I think, and then we come up with a solution.
Yeah.
Because they're also very experienced. For example, Khalid's been a chef for 16 years, so he can give me some ideas that I haven't even thought of.
Awesome.
So yeah. That was just a quick thing about a team.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important.
It helps to expand as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you don't know if you can always be there. So
yeah,
you need to find people you can rely on.
Yeah, definitely. So after having the dream team come together, we then we couldn't, our homemade extraction, which is this picture over here, where we got these laundry pipes and connected them to the back of the smoker. There's these 2 vents of hot smoke coming out, and we just kind of put them out of the window so that our house doesn't get smoky. And literally we just couldn't keep up with the demands anymore, so we had to move out to Prep Kitchen with the lovely Dave and Nick. So Nick's from Chris Kitchen and Taka Dave. I'm sure a lot of people have.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're really experienced in street food, and they give us really good advice, and it's just a nice vibe to be around people that are going through the same thing as you. They've obviously done it for much longer, so we always listen to their. They give us some good advice sometimes. So
and it's that community of people who give you ideas, who give you support, who introduce you, can recommend you. Like, it's a small world of people, and that introduction, that name, that connection can really take you far.
Yeah, definitely. So
we have 2 more minutes, or 2-3 more minutes, if that's okay.
Okay, I'll just quickly. I don't have that much to go through.
Great.
So as I discussed, having the great team, having a prep kitchen can then later on let you expand onto greater things. So we started doing private events. As you can see here, with Ludacris and Tyrese at a private event that we did.
Really cool.
And we just turned up, and we literally, the location of the event changed at midnight. So we got an email from Curb saying, actually, the location has changed. You're like going down like 20 more miles away from where you're meant to be. And they really enjoyed the food, and they invited us back the street meal while they were filming Fast and Furious. And this is just a setup of us at a private event. And the first event that we did was vegan canapes. Although we are quite a meat heavy option, we made a menu that was easy for, that was accessible to all. So from vegan to vegetarian to halal, we made sure we had that in our private events menu. So just to end it all on, basically, we opened our first store, which unfortunately was only open for 2 days, but we'll be back once Corona has gone.
Yeah, you'll definitely be back. What were those 2 days like?
So the 2 days were quite interesting. We had a lot of people that wanted to come down, but because we opened on a Monday, it was a Monday and Tuesday. So to be honest, I wasn't really expecting us to have crazy sales and stuff like that. But it was good to have our own kind of base, and people seemed to be very excited and wanted to come on the weekends, which is where we expected we'd be much busier. But just a note on this that I actually wanted to mention, which I think is very important for everybody, is that I've put here on a second point to treat every customer well. And the reason I've put that there is the only reason that we actually managed to get this, this opportunity was because we were actually doing an event at Battersea Park, and the head of talent for Camden Market was actually at Battersea Dog Show, and his dog won an award or something like that. And so he went to the park and he ate at our stall. And he loved the food so much that he invited us to have this opportunity. So, I mean, if our staff, I wasn't actually at the event, it was our staff that were there. But, we've put that into our staff, that you have to treat everybody well. And trust me, there are some customers that will get on your nerves, but you have to just keep your cool and treat everybody well, because you never know who they are and what opportunities they can open for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just what I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
And then on the final slide here, I've just got some snapshots of our catering menu up here, and these 2 lovely weddings that we did last summer, and my son and Nick's son from Cypress Kitchen tasted burnt ends for a special that was going on our menu. So yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Okay.
I know that if people have questions, they can contact you on your email or your Instagram. And I know that you're doing some brisket deliveries this week, right?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I didn't know if I had enough time. So basically, we have brisket deliveries. So it's brisket, veal ribs, and beef short ribs that we're delivering vacuum packed and cold twice a week. So there's 2 delivery dates every week. So if you are interested in ordering, you can drop us an email or message us on Instagram. And especially since Easter's coming up, so
yeah, awesome. What a way to celebrate. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Thanks, Miriam.